Good morning and welcome to Greece. My name's Andrew and I live here. And this is the ongoing renovation of our 1970s apartment here in Athens, Greece. Now, we've done first fix, plumbing, electrics, demolition, etc. It's finished and I'm now very much into second fix this week. So what am I planning to do? Well, the bathroom, to all intents and purposes, is now finished. Yes, there's a toilet to be fitted and there's a shower to be fitted, but these will be done by the plumber next week. I'm not great at plumbing. My wife keeps telling me this, so she's arranged for the plumber to come and do that. But this week I'm planning to do, first of all, a lot of painting. I want to get the lights up in here. I need to paint this room. And most importantly, I plan to do the kitchen this week. The remainder of the kitchen should be delivered today. There are a couple of boxes, 7 actually, outstanding. And Ikea are delivering those. So probably in a day or two, I'm going to start the kitchen. I think it will take me 3 or 4 days. We have this gap in the floor, which I have now, you may have noticed, procured some marble for. That needs to be cut and fitted. And before I do anything else, I am going to clean the place. That's going to take me a couple of hours, but I like a clean working environment. And this is most definitely not one. So stick with me. We'll see how we progress this week. I think it's going to be a good week, actually. I think I'm going to break a lot of the jobs this week that are still outstanding. Not all of them. The glass wall, I suspect, which is here, will not be done. But I suspect the kitchen, etc., I'm going to break the back off. Let's see how we go. So I've been at it a few hours. I've put up this trim around the ceiling and filled it. That's a positive thing. There's no reason to do it. It's just purely aesthetic, just to match in a little bit with what we have elsewhere. I've also been preparing the surfaces for painting. Now, I did tidy. This is a brand new sheet, but you can see I've been preparing the surfaces for painting. In here it's fine because I just roll the sheet up, and you can see there was quite a bit of loose paint in the ceiling, which I've been taking off. I need to have another go at it just to check I've got it all. But I've had a little bit of a disaster with the hallway. Now I put up a trim in the hallway, and this is functional as well as aesthetic, and you'll see why later on, hopefully in this video. Aesthetically, obviously it extends the trim down past this point where there used to be a wall. So at least we have some continuity. But at the end here, you may not notice, but if you look at the floor, it's the one area I didn't put plastic sheet down, of course. All the paint around the front door on this plaster here, this is incredibly smooth plaster. It just peeled off like loose wallpaper. So I've been at that for half an hour and it's been a bit of a disaster, to be honest. I wasn't expecting it. I need to clear up in a few minutes, but I haven't done any painting yet. I am going to do some today. I'm definitely going to do the ceilings this evening. I say this evening because it's now about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. All I've done today is these rails around the ceiling and also the surface prep, but it's incredibly important, as anyone who has painted a surface before knows. So on I go. So another morning, and I had a late night last night, relatively productive. You can probably see I've painted the trim or dado rail or whatever you want to call it. I haven't painted anywhere else in this hallway at the moment, but at least I've painted that in. So now it looks like part of it, a general mess. But the better news, I suppose, is that in the kitchen and the living room, I have done the first coat, both on the ceiling and the walls. And I think particularly in the kitchen where there was nothing here previously, it was all bare plaster. It looks pretty good. Now, I need to do a second coat this morning. I need to finish off in here. I've got some cutting in to do. A couple of bits came down off the ceiling, which I hadn't spotted. You can see over there, for example, near the pipes, or just above the window here, maybe you can't see that, but it seems to be areas of high humidity, or potentially high humidity. The paint's probably been up there 40 years. My wife remembers it being painted perhaps when she was an early teenager, so it's been there a while. But anyway, so second coat of paint this morning, I'm hoping. I'm planning to put a light up in the kitchen. Now, this isn't a new light. It will be an existing light that we have from our other place in the Peloponnese. It's redundant. It's not my favourite light, but it saves a little bit of money. I might also get round to putting this marble in, I think. Provided it coincides with noisy hours, I shall cut this and fit it because I'm worried about breaking it. So I've cut it and I'm just doing a test fit. I'm not dropping it in because I'll never get it out again. But actually it looks pretty good. There may be some minor adjustment at this end. I might cut the wood back. I think that's going to be easiest. But once it's centred and cemented in, I think it will be absolutely fine. and it will be pretty flush with wood, which was what I was worrying about, to be honest. But I've now also got a couple of other very small pieces to cut, because those of you who watch me will remember that I have two slots, one here and one over here. And if I'm going to mix up some cement, I may as well do them as well. So I'm going to cut them now, and then I'm going to mix some cement and put them in. So there we go, done. I'm particularly pleased with this one here. I think it fits really well, actually. I'm quite pleased with the cut I made. Hopefully it's secure. I mean, you saw me walking on it while I was pushing it down, so I think it's going to be strong enough once it's set. And I think it looks really good as a boundary. Now, the other two are interesting because Panos's, down in Astros, this looked like very white marble. And you realise that white marble is not white unless it's really white. I mean, I don't know if you can see them there. I'm still happy with them, but they're clearly not as white as the marble that they are infilling effectively. But anyway, I'm really pleased. Quick job to be done. I'm pleased with the quick job, actually. I could have made a real mess of it. I'm going to have some lunch. Then I'm going to do a second coat of paint this afternoon during quiet time. So I used the remainder of the cement to fill round the door here, and a couple of other places which needed big filling. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the door frames yet. I really haven't decided. So until I do, I'm just keeping my options open really and trying to at least make them serviceable. But we will see. I mean, this place is still a mess, but I'm going to get to grips with it because, look, I've done the second coat. I think it looks pretty good. The light's up. As I said, not a new light. We've had this for 15 years, but it's perfectly functional in here for the moment. And I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, there's some minor touch-up needed, but I think it looks pretty good. It's very white, obviously, but that's what I wanted. For those who aren't aware, I even considered not painting assemble because I am going to put a Murphy bed, a bed that folds down from the wall, and also have a TV mounted to it. So it's going to be a TV unit and a Murphy bed. Ambitious, I know, but I ordered the mechanism. I need to build the wood around it, but that's going to be a later job because it's 4 o'clock and I think I'm going to start to get to grips with the kitchen. I've got God knows how many boxes sitting in the bedroom. I'm going to start to sort through them and just work out what I've got and start obviously with the rails and the cabinets. I'll talk about that tomorrow. My intention is tomorrow to start to install the kitchen. I'm going to take 2 or 3 days, probably 3 days I would imagine. I'm not going to rush it, I'm going to get absolutely right. But the first thing to do is to get my head around what I've actually got and start to understand it and put the cabinets together. So I'm going to at least make a start of that now and then continue tomorrow. So last night I sorted the kitchen boxes and I think everything's there. I'm not absolutely certain because I found one box which contains a sofa cover, and as far as I'm aware that's definitely not part of my kitchen, but I can't find anything missing, so we'll see as we go. I have 9 cabinets to put together this morning. I want to do those first because it just gives me a scale and so on. Then I will put the rails on the wall, which is the key part. I have to get them right out, I have to get them level, and then everything hangs off them. So I will show you doing that later on today. But I also got quite busy last night. So last night I got a little bit bored and I decided to come in and fit the hallway lights. Now I said to you that I was putting up this dado rail, this trim around the ceiling for a functional purpose, and these lights are it. Now they're Philips Hue strip lights. They're quite expensive, I admit it. I'm going to have 12.5 meters. There's a little bit missing here. That's coming from Amazon. But I love them because you can change the color, you can change the brightness, you can attach them easily to a sensor. So for example, when someone walks in here or the front door opens, they can come on automatically. I can have them dim at night after a certain time. So if someone wanders down to the toilet, they won't come on as bright as they are at the moment, or perhaps a different color. And I just think, A, I like them. B, I think for this corridor, which is long and otherwise be very dark, they're quite a practical solution. And C, as I said, they have this ability with sensors and so on, so they're pretty environmentally friendly, actually. You don't have to leave them on all the time. You wander out into the corridor, the lights will turn on. I haven't done that yet, but I will. So once this place is painted, which will probably be at some point next week, I think they will look pretty good. So, 4.5, 5 hours, it's hot, I'm full of hay fever, and I've done 9 cabinets, and I'm tired now, to be honest. It's also quiet time, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have some lunch. I'm going to have a little snooze, because it's hot, and I need a siesta. And this is Greece, after all. And then I'm going to come back later on this afternoon. I'm going to mark up, hopefully on the wall, where the 2 rails need to go, which is critical. I've got to get that right height, the right level. And then all of these units will hang on that rail using these points up here. They also have legs, which I haven't yet attached. I've attached the attachments, if you like, not the legs themselves. They will go on and they stabilise it and allow me to level it. And then we progress from there. So hopefully this afternoon I'll get the rails up and start to play with the cabinets on that. And then tomorrow we'll get into the serious business of hanging these cabinets. I also need to cut some holes like this one for the plug sockets and so on. So I love laser levels when it comes to a job like this. Hopefully you can see the green line there. I've marked it out in red as well. That is 82 centimetres from the high point on the floor. And that is the level at which the bottom rail is going to go. So it's absolutely level. Now I've got to set another one at 222 centimetres, which is a little harder because I need to get the laser level up there and my tripod isn't going to be high enough, but I'll put a box in a box and we'll be fine. So I'm pretty happy with that level, to be honest. Then I need to draw a centre line. But the first thing I'm going to do is set my 2 lines. Then I'll decide where the centre line goes. By the wonders of Home Alone styled engineering, I've managed to get my laser level up to the right height. And we have a line which is 222 centimetres from the floor, the high point of the floor. And the great thing is it's absolutely level with the top of the window. Maybe you can see it there. Absolutely level with the top of the window, which is brilliant as a point of reference. So I'm going to mark that in. I'm then going to check back on photos just to make sure that all the electrical work which was done is above that line. I'm pretty certain it is, but I just want to check. That is the line for my second rail. So I've set my centre line here. Now it's not absolutely centre between the 2 parallel walls, and who says they're parallel in the first place? But this is the point at which, according to the drawing and my estimates, there should be a join between the cabinet here and the cooker cabinet here. And again, above us, all the cabinets should line up because we've chosen cabinets which should line up. So my centre line is important from that respect. Now it could move a couple of millimetres either way. It just depends on these walls. But what I'm planning to do is start from this end. I'll start from this end with the tall cabinet, because the tall cabinet ultimately is great. It sets the line for everything. So I'm going to get the tall cabinet in first and then use that effectively once I've got that in as a point of reference for everything else following on from it. But before I do that, I've got to get the rails up. Let me show you the rail and the way the Ikea system works. So these are the steel rails which Ikea give you to support the kitchen. And effectively what you do is you screw these to the wall with 30 centimetre intervals with appropriate wall fixings. And then what happens, if I can show you with one hand, which may not be that easy, is you have these steel fixings on the back of the cabinets and they slot in to the rail like so. So the weight of the cabinets is effectively held by this rail and everything lines up as a result of this rail. And then with the floor cabinets, you have additional feet that you put in. So for example, this really tall one, which the fridge is going to go in, has 4 feet. Most of them only have 2. They do give you some extra feet, so I'll probably put a couple of extra feet, for example, in the cooker and the sink. No reason not to. But that is how it works, and that's why it's so critical that I get these rails on the wall. And the way it works effectively is the rail, the bottom of the rail, goes to my red line there, if you can see it. They do give you a system that allows you to adjust the level by a couple of millimetres before you tighten the screws as well. So really, provided that level's right, you should get them bang on. But I'm going to spend a few minutes now drilling 24 holes or thereabouts, cutting rails to length where necessary. I think I actually have to add rather than reduce. And then we'll have a look at it. So the first rail is up. Now, it needs to be extended along here a little bit. You can perhaps see the mark about here, I think it is. But I'm not going to do that yet because I'm going to put a couple of cabinets up and get the measurements absolutely right, because you don't want it coming off the end, if that makes sense. You don't want it visible, so I need to get that right. The other tip I have is that you secure the screws in with these, which are great because they allow you to have a little bit of movement in the position of the hole. And let's face it, when you drill in initially, a drill moves slightly. My big tip is you have these holes, you can probably see them in the rail. My temptation is always to put the screw towards the top of the hole. But if you do that, this doesn't fit. So that creates a problem. They don't mention it in the instructions. So I would put the screw roughly halfway up the hole, no higher, because then that allows space for this. And you can always move this to adjust it. And this will support the weight anyway of the rail. So that's my big tip for this. That's what I've learned doing this. Wish I'd learned it earlier. But the rail's up. You can probably see it is level. You have to take my word for it. The laser probably shows it, but so it's the spirit level that I'm using. So I'm now going to do the bottom rail, and then I'm going to attempt it tonight. I'm going to start to test fit some things, but I'm not going to do this big one until tomorrow, I think, because it's going to take an hour or two. And I want to get it right, as I said. And that is the one that will then allow everything else, hopefully, to work. I mean, famous last words, I'll probably be cursing tomorrow. We'll wait and see. So, second rail is up at 82 centimetres. You can see it is level, which is great. It was a slightly more difficult fit than the previous one, because whereas the wall up there is flat, the wall here is not flat, and I don't know if you can get that, but I've had to shim it a little bit. I've had to put in spaces. I've used tile offcuts, actually. Not that I've got many left, but need to keep it flat, that's the thing. So top wall, where it had been plastered, very flat. This one, not quite, so I have to shim it. Now again, you'll notice I haven't gone to my mark on the end there. That's because I'm going to fit this big unit first, test fit everything, and that will tell me exactly where I need these extension rails to run. No point in me cutting them now and getting it wrong. So you get to see the first look at the colour that we've chosen. Now we've gone for dark wood. Might surprise some of you, but it's meant to contrast with the white, and it's also meant to tie in with the natural colour of the green here. It's meant to be a sort of natural look. I think it'll be quite good. But the stupid thing is, I mean, these panels here, which are going to go either end, are stupidly expensive. We're talking like 120 euros a panel. I've got two of them. One which will just go this end, obviously has to be cut, because it's slightly too tall, but not a lot. And then there'll be another one that I have to cut for the face here, where this tall unit is, and then also to go at the end here. Now there is enough, but that's 240 euros on two panels, which, with the exception of this little face here on the side, obviously, which I need, going to be virtually invisible, but it will make it look neat. So I've got to stop for the evening. I have other things to do, but I just did a quick test line-up fit, if you like. It's not hanging or anything. I thought, oh God, the wall's not plumb, because look, the gap gets bigger towards the top. That's going to be a complete nightmare. But actually, fortunately, with the level, I don't know if you can see, the wall is pretty plumb. It's not bad at all. It's actually the floor that is out. I hope you can see that. So, my plan tomorrow is to test fit this, to cut the panel behind, to adjust the legs on the bottom, which aren't there yet, to allow for the floor, and hopefully it will all go swimmingly. But who knows? It probably won't. My life never goes swimmingly. I need to just trim this panel as well so it sits back slightly. You want about ½ an inch sticking out, I think. Again, it's because the floor. And also we have a slight curve at the bottom where the plaster and so on was done. But we'll sort it out tomorrow. That's why I'm taking my time and doing it slowly. So morning, it's taken me an hour and a little bit of leverage. You can see it there on the floor, but I have this cabinet now in place and at a level I'm happy with. So the way it works is very simple. You hang it, as I said, on this rail using the metal fixings up here. When you are happy with that, you then put in these little plastic rotational plugs which lock it in place. And then adjust the feet underneath, I don't know if you can see them, to get it level, which is what I've done. You need a little bit of leverage just to get it absolutely right. And I also had the added complication of this side panel, which I've put in. I've had to cut, obviously to fit it, I had to cut it around the rail. I've cut it very slightly at the bottom just to fit the floor, but I think it looks pretty smart, even though you can hardly see any of it. Now, I'm going to differ from the plans slightly, because the plans require me to put another panel here, which I'm going to do. But what they want me to do is cut it off and sit it on top of the worktop, which to me sounds a bit odd, because then what we're going to do is misalign the top cabinets from the bottom cabinets. And what I want to do, what I've chosen the cabinets for, is to line them up perfectly so that the seams above match the seams below. And I think it will look very odd if it's effectively 1.5 centimetres out, which is what it will be. So I'm going to run the panel all the way down the length of that to the floor. I'll probably lift it very slightly off the floor, just to give it a little bit of life if there's water on the floor. But I've checked the boxes. I have enough side panels to do the rest of it. I also, you've noticed I haven't run the strip to the end. That's because I have 15 centimetres at the end to play with. Now, I might lose 1 centimetre there. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to build the little end piece anyway using the end panels and so on that I've got. So I've got something to play with. I'm going to put the panel all the way down. I don't know why they've suggested it. I said it on the worktop. It just seems a bit odd to me. Anyway, I've got the first one up. It's my reference for everything else. I think I'm going to start with the top cabinet, so I've got to cut some plug holes in the next one. And we'll keep going and see how we go. So, second panel is cut and attached. Not looking too bad. And it's vertical, which is the main thing. And most importantly, and why I'm showing you now, I've decided, apart from the camber on the floor that I have to account for, I have spaced it very slightly off the floor, as I did with the other one. Because then if the floor does get wet, hopefully, with a bit of luck, it's not sitting in water and it has a chance of surviving. So we'll see. So, end of day 2 of kitchen install. And I just want to show you where I've got to, because I have made some progress. Gave myself 3 days, not that it's a rush. I will probably finish most of it tomorrow. I need to get some door handles. One thing we didn't get when we bought the kitchen was door handles, because they'd run out. So I need to get some tomorrow. But anyway, you can see, I hope, I've installed the units along here. I've installed the extractor, which now works. I've installed under cabinet lights. I've installed lights up the top as well. Now these are like the hallway lights. They can change to any colour, any brightness. We can control them remotely, so that's good. The microwave works. I'm not going to turn it on, but it's there. And then, most happily, and I think these doors look really good actually, they're flush, which is great. And I'm so glad I put this panel all the way down, unlike the way they told me to. It would be nuts. Most importantly, we now have a working fridge and a working freezer. I just need to get some door handles. But I don't think that's bad for 2 days. I'm relatively happy with it. It all seems to work. You can see, not bad at all, I think. So I think I'm going to tackle the worktops first thing this morning. I might not fix them in place. I've got the plumber coming on Monday to do the bathroom and the plumbing in here. So I want to make sure he's got plenty of access. But we'll see how we go. Then I'm going to do trim, cooker, and doors. I need to go and get door handles at some point today. But actually, I'm not that far off now. I think it's the little fiddly jobs that make a difference if you get them wrong. So these are extremely heavy, difficult to handle without knocking into things. So I have to be very careful. You can see, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I need a little bit at the end, and they've given me another 3/4 length piece to cut that from. So I've got plenty of spare. Now the question is where I put that. Do I put it up this end? Or do I put it down this end? And my inclination is to put it down this end. The sink's going to go here, which makes me a little bit nervous because I need to seal the joint properly. But at the same time, I think it'll look a lot neater than having it up here where there's nothing breaking up the expanse, and we just have an aluminium strip across here. So I think it's going to go down that end. So having played with it, I am going to put the join of the 2 worktops at this end. I'm also going to put the sink in this orientation. I've played with it and I think this is the one I prefer. And then, I don't know if you can see the red dot here, but that's where I'm going to drill to put the tap. There is a mark for it, so it should be relatively easy. They give me a nice template. I'm just going to cut the other worktop, stick the template across and then cut it in half. So hopefully I get it absolutely right. And then after that, I'll look at the hob. I also need to put the dishwasher in. I keep forgetting that, but it'll be a lot harder if I do this after I put the worktops down. So I should do the dishwasher. So cut slowly and carefully, and you get a relatively good cut. The other thing is, I don't know if it comes out on the camera, this end is wider than this end by 1 centimetre because the wall is not parallel. So I've tried to account for that. So this is 33.5 and this end is 32.5, but we'll see if it fits. I haven't done a test fit, so this will be the first time we try. I actually think that's what you call a good fit. Not bad. Can you actually see the joinets here? You can see slight light through it. I didn't really want to use the aluminium trim that they give you because it looked messy. I prefer just to use some clear silicone sealant. Because we've got the sink here, I'm going to have to silicone seal it anyway. I think I can make a better job than just putting aluminium trim on it. I'm quite pleased with that. Not bad. So yesterday just was a bit of a nightmare. It just didn't go well. There was no particular reason. I just don't think it was my day. Everything that could cause me a pain was a pain. I got silicone everywhere. I couldn't think about things. It's just a nightmare. I don't know. I'm hoping today's going to be better. But today I'm going to finish installing the kitchen. I hope at least 99% of it. And then I'm going to tidy. Really exciting to watch. So let's have a quick look at what I did yesterday. So the observant amongst you may notice there's a complete mess here, but there's also the resemblance of a kitchen. Still a little bit of finer adjustment to do, still some work to do, as you can see. But eventually, after a lot of cursing and creating problems for myself, I think it's looking okay. So I put this trim in along here, and also end panel here. I finished the lights up the top. I obviously put in an induction hob here, which just caused me a nightmare. I think I just cut the hole too small by a couple of millimetres, and that's always a problem, and it just caused me a nightmare. But anyway, that's in. The sink, you'll see, and the tap is also in. Now, the sink is siliconed in. I found this, I don't know if you can see it, this wonderful black silicone. My favourite product so far, actually, because it dries pretty quickly. It sets pretty quickly. Now, I like that because you put it on, you bang the thing down, you adjust it quickly, and then it sets. And that's what I want, to be honest. I don't want something that moves for the next 45 minutes. I also used it to seal my invisible joint here, and I think it looks all right, actually. I think it's better than using the aluminium filler trim that they want you to use. It's watertight. It's bonded with the silicone, which is also high grip. And I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, I know you can't really see it at the moment, but it's not bad. I also put door handles on. I don't know if you can notice them, but very subtle little door handles. I cut a template, made a template that I use, basically locates into the corner. I'm going to adjust it now slightly for the drawers so that I get them all at the same height and all in the same position. Otherwise it looks very odd and wonky. You always use a template for that. I learnt that through bitter experience many years ago, but I think we are looking okay. I've got to put 2 more drawers in today. I've got to insert the oven. I had a disaster yesterday. I thought they'd forgotten the oven. Remember, I said that we got a sofa cover. I thought they'd substituted my oven tray, which supports the oven, for sofa cover. I've got the oven, of course, but not the tray. So I was cursing yesterday onto customer services, etc., etc. I'm having another one delivered. And then, sorry, customer services at Ikea, but I found it. So I am planning to do that this morning. It's extremely hot now. Maybe that's what's messing me about a little bit. I'm finding it difficult. Amazing what a difference a new day makes. 10 minutes and the first drawer is done. I've only got one more to do. I have these glass panels here, which we paid a little bit extra for, but you know, so what at this stage. This is the template I was talking about. So you square it up to this end. It sits, as you can see, on a rail on the top. And then I've got holes marked out in it, depending on where I'm cutting or drilling the individual handles. So hopefully, new day, new start, fresher, no mistakes, going to happen. A much better morning. I'm feeling far more positive. Everything's happening, and I've got the plumber coming tomorrow to hook everything up. So the bathroom will essentially be finished, toilet, shower, etc., provided I haven't made any silly mistakes. But let me very quickly show you, because I think there's been a transformation since I've cleaned. So there are a couple of jobs still to do, some more detailing. But we now have a kitchen, and I'm very pleased with it. I think it looks great. I think it works with the floor, and as I said before, the floor was where I took the inspiration from. And honestly, I'm delighted with it. What else can I say? I think it works. I don't think it takes up enormous space. I think the contrast with the white is great. Obviously, I've got to do tiles at the back there. But I'm really, really pleased with it. As I said, the plumber's coming tomorrow. He'll hook up everything. You know, we've got a dishwasher here. We've obviously got an oven. We've got an extractor here. Microwave up here. Cupboards. Okay, I haven't put the shelves in yet. The shelves, you may have noticed, are all down here. But I haven't done the cleaning for you guys, although it's nice on camera. I've done the cleaning because my wife is due here any minute. It's a Sunday. Tomorrow is our anniversary. As I said, the plumber's coming. But that is the only work I'm planning tomorrow. The rest of the day is devoted to my wife and having a nice day. And then probably Wednesday, I think, I'll be back here. Amazing when the place is cleaned. It looks so much better. The floor still needs a little bit of work. But I'm really, really, really happy with it. I can now see where we're going. So Wednesday I'm back, and I think after the plumber, which I'll film tomorrow, you can see I've still got to do down the bottom here, the bottom plinth. That's a 20-minute job, hopefully. But after the plumber's been, I've had my anniversary and I'm back, I'm then going to paint the hallway, which needs doing, and I'm going to paint the bedroom. Once I've done those, I will probably then build this glass brick wall. And at that point, I'm going to feel pretty well, if I'm honest, that I've finished, because the place will certainly be livable. I then need to move on to the doors and also the Murphy bed, which I'm planning to build in the TV unit at the end wall here. But I won't feel the pressure, because the pressure I feel, I've been at this now for 11 weeks, I think. And the pressure, to be honest, has been to get it into a livable condition, because I've spent 11 weeks on a small camp bed in a fairly grotty apartment. And I just want to upgrade my experience, to be honest. So I hope you like it. I hope you agree with me that the colour choices were right, that the bathroom looks okay, that we're making progress. I need to do marble down the bottom here. I've got a marble to put around here. There are various little jobs, but the first thing is the painting in the brick wall, I think, the brick wall, the glass wall, and obviously the tiling here. I'm not sure what tiles yet. Probably light, I think. Probably light. We'll see. But thank you for watching so far. Hope you've enjoyed.